I don't think anybody is a victim to their life circumstances. I think radical self-responsibility is actually the biggest unlock to quantum leaping yourself in your life. You know, I'll just speak for myself. I was pretty much a victim to my entire life for 36 years.
Born in 92 on the block with the Sharks. Come from a different cloth, y'all would get ripped apart. You want it diamond, then you gotta get it in the dark. We dropping nuggets like Carmelo went to Rucker Park. Now we eating from state to state, we scrape the plate. I put my eggs in a basket, took a leap of faith. I took a chance, now we grow and see the impact. Decoding success with special guests, now let's bring Matt.
Jess, 2 years, 3 years removed from our last episode. In preparation for this, I was literally sitting there and I'm like putting together these questions, and I said, wait, I see Jess going through evolution right now. I heard it listening back to the episode that we previously did in 2023. And the first question that came to my mind was simply, how do you not resist the change that comes about? So for example, whether that be in your business.
Yes.
Because it looks like you're doing something different from the last time we spoke.
Very different.
A move, you're building a home.
Yeah.
The last time we spoke, you were just getting back from like an Egyptian spiritual trip or something of the sort.
Yep.
So how do you not resist the change or the expansion or the evolution that's coming about in your life?
Wow, that's a beautiful question. And I think the answer is, what's coming to me is that is truly the game of life, is to surrender, to learn in your body and in your heart and your mind the experience of surrender, because we're wired to be reactive, to control, to future trip, to want to know the answers, to bank on the past and our beliefs that are rooted in limitation. And when you really trust, like that's the trust and surrender are best friends. They go hand in hand. The process, that's really where I find not only does growth happen, but miracles happen. You know, I've been in a deep season of overwhelm and anxiety with a huge uprooting, lots of expansion professionally and personally. And I have a practice where I go to my altar every morning and I remind myself that many things can be true at once. I can be deeply overwhelmed. I can feel resistance coming up on my body. I can name and label something as negative and stressful. And while those things aren't any less true, that's the human experience, I remind myself of how much I do have to be grateful for. I really believe that when you can access gratitude, you open your heart and you become present to the gift that it is to be alive. And I don't say that to sound cliche or spiritual bypassy. Like, it is such a gift to be alive. And when I look back on every single moment of resistance, of pain, of deep, deep evolution that was deeply uncomfortable, I can look back, whether it was when I met you, years before, or even a month ago. It's like, no, you were actually being upgraded. Like, you're being put through an initiatory process, like initiation. It's like what the great spiritual mystics and priestesses and, sages of our time speak of, like initiation, which is basically death and rebirth.
Yeah.
And so I think that if you can surrender to the discomfort, knowing cognitively you're being initiated, there's always something more expansive on the other side.
I love that. I've never heard that before. Like, the uncomfortable feelings or whatever it is essentially initiation into your next level. Am I interpreting that correctly?
Correct. Exactly right.
That is so powerful.
Yeah.
I also appreciate the fact that you're essentially sharing that in this season of experiencing overwhelm or anxiety or whatever it may be, there's kind of a coexistence with still surrendering and trusting and all of the things. Like,
yes.
It's not like once you surrender or trust, then anxiety and overwhelm just like dissipate and they go away.
Correct.
Like, they're still both present.
Always. But it's up to you to be conscious. Like, spirituality, personal development, personal growth, it all just comes down to your own consciousness, right? And how you're looking at your life and the energy in which you're bringing to it. And sometimes it's hard to not let the overwhelm overtake you. But I think that if you can just simply be aware that it's a moment, it's a moment. It's not a sentence. It's not forever. And to remember that you actually have way more sovereignty and agency over your own thoughts, over your own reactions than the world has taught you do. That is really, I think, the portal into true growth. And to be, I don't think we're creators of our own reality. I think we're co-creators of our own reality. We're co-creating with the divine. We're co-creating with spirit, God, whatever you want to call it. And I just feel the more I surrender, and I imagine like a wave, like a tidal wave, right? Like taking me. And I can like try and swim upstream, and it's going to be exhausting and it's going to be painful, and like I'll probably drown, versus just letting the wave take you and breathing through it and remembering that it's just a moment. I think we just lose sight that we are so much more powerful than we know, and that we are in a constant state of co-creation, that there is some deeper reason. And again, I don't mean to spiritually bypass, but a deeper reason why we're going through the resistance, why we're going through the discomfort, because there's a bigger plan for us that we can't will our way through. And when we surrender as an active choice, I mean, it's been shown to me over and over and over again, like life has a greater plan for me. Like I had a spiritual mentor. I have a spiritual mentor still in my life. And she said to me once, this was like 2 years ago, she said to me, Jessica, because I'm pretty galactic and I'm like a hustler and I get shit done and I move real fast and I make moves.
Yeah.
And she was like, you move at the speed of light. It's a gift, but you need to learn how to move at the speed of life.
Light versus life.
Life. Like the seasons, like Mother Gaia, like this planet that we're on that is our greatest teacher, which is the greatest creative, intelligent planet we could have ever asked to have been incarnated on. And watch nature, watch spring turn into summer, turn into fall, turn into winter. Think about the timeline of that. It's 365 days for evolution, death and rebirth, contraction, expansion. And we want to like hit our goals tomorrow or next month or this quarter because, I don't know, our Instagram told us that that's what it should look like. It's really important to remember that we're in co-creation. Yeah.
Do you feel like the plan that you refer to, is it being created currently, or is it like already predetermined?
That's a really good question. I think it is to some degree predetermined. I do. I think we're all here following a destiny. I think we're here for our own unique reason. I think that we come in here to learn very specific lessons so that our soul can evolve, which means there's going to be relationships, there's going to be opportunities, there's going to be specific failures, and I hate to say it, tragedies that come into our path that are intended to teach us who we really are. I really do believe that. It sucks in the moment, of course, and I don't want to bypass anyone's, tragedies or heartbreaks, but if you really look back and reflect, and ideally you've healed and done your work and integrated and have faced it with the right support, whatever that looks like, you can probably say to yourself, like, that made me stronger, that made me wiser, that made me more open, that made me more loving. But I also believe we have free will. And I believe that we as human beings forget that. I mean, I'm very galactic, as you probably know, but like I one of my greatest teachers are the Pleiadians, which is a interdimensional star family that I'm very much attuned to. And one of their biggest teachings is that we are self-empowered beings, that we have been like stripped of our agency and surrendered our sovereignty to like the matrix, big government, media, corporate capitalism, systems that have wanted to keep humanity small, controlled, sick.
Yeah.
And so to empower ourselves with our own free will while also surrendering to the greater plan is the game.
So what if you don't like this plan that you've been given?
What if you don't like this plan that you've been given?
If it's like a predetermined plan, like what happens if you're like, I don't like this shit?
I believe you've got to look inside. I think you've got to look inside. I mean, I don't think anybody is a victim to their life circumstances. I think radical self-responsibility is actually the biggest unlock to quantum leaping yourself in your life. I'll just speak for myself. I was pretty much a victim to my entire life for 36 years. I'm 44
I remember
now.
you saying that, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like that old saying, it's so true. Like you point one finger at someone else and you've got 3 pointing back at you. And I did not like the plan that I was given. I built this business. I was working at this, it failed. And then I had to take a corporate job. I was miserable. My marriage wasn't doing well. I was angry at my husband for all the ways that he was showing up. I felt super disempowered by my boss at the time. I didn't like where I had landed. I was devastated by where my feet had been planted at that moment in my life. And I stayed there in a loop until I realized that I was radically responsible for my thoughts, my beliefs, my choices, my actions, my feelings. And so that is, what I would say to that person, question, what if I don't like that I've been told? I know plenty of people who were dealt a cards of being sick or poor or abused. And those are not destinations. They're stations, but they're not destinations. So you get to decide.
I like what you say. Destinations, not stations. Like you kind of just like have these things that are like
I talk a lot.
They're catchy. They're catchy. I want to go backwards for a second because you mentioned how like in moments of anxiety or overwhelm or whatever it may be, like you just acknowledge them as moments. So what are you doing to not latch onto them and dragging them throughout in a day or a week or a month?
Yeah. I mean, I rely on my tools. I rely on my people. I don't think that we're meant in any shape or form to do this thing called life, build a business, raise a family, write a book, lead a team, create content, whatever it is, like alone, So I lean on my therapist, my coach, my energy healer. I lean on my friends. I lean on my family. I look around me at the people. I'm a verbal processor personally. I don't like to keep things in by myself.
Sure.
And I just don't, I feel like the most important thing we can do is to be vulnerable and when in moments such as this and ask for support and ask for help. Because you can't face all of it by yourself. I think especially entrepreneurs or people who have big dreams hold a lot. And I think the moments where I feel my darkest is when I forget that I don't have to hold it all alone. I'm very unapologetic, and sometimes I'm a little proud, and sometimes I like to try and figure it out myself or reach a breaking point because I'll tell myself I'm capable and strong enough to do it, but that doesn't ever last very long. And I think that if we really gather our army, I call it like my spiritual army, or my personal army. I have a team, of course, that runs my business, but I have a Jessica team that's there to, help me see myself more and not just coddle me. I think that's also really important. Like you have to be willing to surround yourself with people who are willing to fucking tell you the truth, because if you're not being reflected, your blind spots and where you are still in victim consciousness or you have acted out of integrity. I mean, that's hard. Those are hard pills to swallow.
Yeah.
But if you are being fed that feedback by someone who cares about you, like it's in your highest best interest. It's different than like negative feedback, trolls, people who are just going to, cast their bullshit and projection on you. No, I'm not talking about that. But people who are really loving you up into a higher version of yourself. I think that is by far and away the most important asset to have in your growth and your evolution.
Sure. Yeah. When you talk about having your team, here's what's coming up. I'm going to try and articulate this in a way that's clear. How do we make sure that we don't outsource our power to the team? Right? Like I think it's important. Yes, have the therapist, have the business coach, have whoever it is.
Great question.
Right? But like how do we make sure that we're not looking for them for every answer?
Yes.
Right? You get where I'm going with that?
I totally do.
Yeah.
I think I think one of the most, it's a great question and so important, and I'll speak from my own experience. I believe that the most, obviously, next to spirit, the most important relationship in your entire life is the one you have to yourself. So I think that it's important to spend time alone. I think solitude is one of the greatest medicines in the world. I think it's really invaluable to assess, like when I say solitude, sometimes it's just a couple hours sometimes if I can get away for like a week by myself. I'm known to travel. I'm married. I like go to Costa Rica by myself for like a month, and I have a really amazing husband, and I'll get to relationships in a second. Journaling, you know, meditation, listening to yourself, listening to your heart, tuning in. That is the greatest journey we'll ever fucking take. Not to Egypt, not to South America or Bali.
Although those are cool
those
too.
are amazing places, and we should all go. But to go within, and to cultivate that real relationship, and to get really in tune with your body, because your body never lies. Your body knows first. And so if you do get a piece of feedback from someone who loves you or whatever, as I was saying, and it hits in your body in a way that doesn't feel right and aligned, listen to that, because you know best. And I also think it's very important, and this is part of the work, is to really take stock of your relationships as a constant daily practice. I mean, we're all to some degree defaulting into codependency and enmeshment. I mean, it's natural human like tendencies to need other people, and to really do the work on yourself, to come home into your sovereignty, to draw better boundaries, to spend time alone, to do somatic work, to care for your body, build a relationship with yourself. I mean, I've had plenty of relationships in my life. My best friend and I, we're 15 years, we're super codependent. And we've had to unwind our codependency and enmeshment to each other. Yeah. We've had multiple breakdowns in our friendship. She's like a soulmate of mine, one of my greatest teachers. And our biggest breakdowns have come through the fact that we have a codependent relationship. So we've had to work together and on ourselves to come into more harmony and coherence as friends. My husband and I have a beautiful partnership, and I came into that relationship only knowing codependent romantic relationships where we were like in black holes and never like were apart and traveled together and lived together. And I never really saw my friends because I was so deeply in my relationship. So when I met my husband, he was a really autonomous guy, super independent, big golfer, was never around on the weekends. And I was super angry at him for the first 2 years of our life, our marriage or relationship, because he was never around, and that's what I was used to. And thank God for golf, to be honest, because it's allowed me to reclaim my autonomy in my marriage. So, you know, I think there's a beautiful question, and there's a multidimensional way in which you create your own sovereignty.
I want to talk about the body doesn't lie quote, right? If an individual is experiencing overwhelm or anxiety, and like the physical sensations of those feelings are coming up in their body, and they hear body, like that your body's not lying to you, but taking into account it's an initiation to your expansion or your next level. Like, how do we not back down from those feelings and not interpret it as like, oh, I need to stop doing this because my body's trying to tell me something?
100%. So I'm not a somatic expert or nervous system expert. I'm just a girl who works with those tools.
Just a girl.
I'm just a girl, Matt, but I've relied on those tools for a long time because I was so out of my body for so long. I had no relationship to my body. My nervous system was completely dysregulated. I was running off of fumes, caffeine, adrenaline, cortisol. And yes, you can ground, and I can tell you to do breath work, and I can tell you to buy a PEMF mat and like get into nature. All of those things are helpful. But you have to learn to be with yourself. You have to learn to be with your emotions. Anxiety, overwhelm, stress, it's just stuck emotions. And so one of the most powerful practices, and I don't always do it because life, but I try to, is pausing and allowing myself to express that anxiety or express that fear or express that overwhelm physically, like to move it out. So sometimes it's like shaking my hand. Sometimes it's like running up and down my stairs. Sometimes it's pushing a wall. Sometimes it's fucking screaming. Sometimes it's banging on a pillow. Sometimes it's crying. But we have to move the emotions through and out, or just compounds and compounds and compounds until our body breaks. Whether that's burnout, depression, sickness.
And you've been there.
I've totally been there.
I remember you telling me that.
I've totally been there. And I think that it's, you know, not to say that I never get tired or burnt out. I've go through seasons, but never to the degree when we first met. When I couldn't leave my house for 2 months because I was so depressed. I was diagnosed with depression from physical burnout.
Yeah.
Because I had run over my body like a train for a year and a half, 100-hour work weeks, never stopping. Yes, that sounds exhausting, but if you really think about all of the micro death by 1,000 paper cut moments that I was stressed, hurt, annoyed, overwhelmed, angry, sad, and then I just kept going. So that requires us to slow down, going back to the metaphor I made about the earth and the seasons, to just simply be with ourselves and really give yourself permission to take that time, because we all have it.
Absolutely. What would be your advice to an individual that is in a season of still running away from that alone time, or maybe the thoughts in their head, whatever it may be, right? Like, what would be your message to them as someone that's probably been on both sides of that?
Yeah, I would ask them to ask themselves, what are you really afraid of? And just maybe give yourself 5 minutes to sit with that question in silence and see what comes up.
What were you afraid of?
I was afraid of going broke.
Okay.
I'd gone broke once before in my early 30s. And it wasn't just the scarcity financially, it was the judgment. It was the lack of safety. It was feeling like I was going to die because I couldn't pay my bills and survive. So there was a primal fear of survival. And I think, to be honest with you, Matt, and I write about this in my book, The Light Work, that is the primary driver for humanity right now. The darkness of humanity is survival.
Yeah.
Every man for themselves, survival of the fittest. It's how we've evolved. The fittest always won. And I'm here to co-create a reality, in my own small corner of the world, where we don't have to survive. We can all thrive. There's enough room for all of us. We're safe. We're loved. We're abundant. We're cared for. We're protected. And it starts with, obviously, how we treat ourselves. And then we get to treat other people like that. And then that's how the world expresses itself. So I think, going back to your question, ask yourself the question underneath the question, and then keep asking. Keep asking the next question. Keep asking the next question until you.
What
feel
usually
the root.
is that next question? Is it why? I saw something the other day. I thought it was so powerful. It's like, ask yourself that initial question. So like, what are you afraid of?
Yep.
Why?
Why?
Like every single time. Is that it?
Exactly. And to really, really get to the root of it the best that you can.
Yeah. That's interesting. It is. You're making me think here. If I knew what Jessica knows, how would my life be different?
Oh my gosh. What a good question, Matt.
I appreciate it.
I'm like blown away at your interview style. It's so good. It's really beautiful to be with you.
It's a hypothetical.
No, I love this question.
It's a hypothetical.
I want to think about, what's coming to me is that don't lose the plot that this life is supposed to be fun. Like,
have you lost that before?
I certainly have. I certainly have. But joy is a choice. Joy is a different frequency than happiness. Happiness is a beautiful emotion. It's fleeting. Joy is a choice. Joy is a daily practice. Joy is a devotion. It's a commitment to yourself to choose joy every day. And I have found personally, but I've also seen it in the women that I work with and my friends and the clients I support, like everywhere, people that I inspire me. Joy is, I call it the lubricant to like abundance, and not just abundance of money, but like abundance of anything.
Sure.
And so what do I know? I know that joy is like the cheat code to the life that you want to live. And it's really not that complicated.
Give me the equation to achieve joy.
Okay. The equation to achieve joy is gratitude, starting with gratitude.
Okay. For what though? For just like
anything.
Yeah.
Anything. Think about how much we take for granted. Like joy in the fact that you woke up this morning and you don't have a cold. The joy that you have a car you can drive to take you to your workout and it's not broken. Joy that you get to move your body in the workout and they're playing Beyonce and you love Beyonce and it's making you feel expanded in your heart.
Yeah.
And then you come home from your workout and there's your dog and she's wagging her tail, so excited to see you.
Yeah.
And then you open up your fridge and you're like, oh my God, I've got almond milk that I love that's chocolate and tastes so good and it's healthy and I can afford a $5, $6 bottle of almond milk at Whole Foods. And I'm going to drink my smoothie and I've got protein coming through my body. I could go on and on.
Yeah.
You know, like, what isn't there to be grateful for?
So this is where I get tripped up with gratitude, Jess.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
is it a feeling? Like, am I supposed to feel something, or is it like something I say to myself? Hey everyone, pausing this episode to share something with you. In a world of hyper competitiveness, I think the best quote that I can share with you is that there is no one in the world youer than you, and that is truer than true, which is exactly why I wanted to share with you today about Brand Builders Group. It's an organization I've been working with over the last few months. It is absolutely incredible, and today I am sharing with you the opportunity to hop on a free brand call with a brand strategist to help you break through the wall of obscurity. We are in a hyper competitive space at the moment, whether it be on social or with your podcast or with your blog or with your books or getting on stage. No matter what your endeavor is, this is an opportunity for you to hop on a free strategy call with someone from the team to be able to help you navigate the waters of making sure that you are breaking through the wall and taking advantage of all of the opportunities that you most definitely deserve. Again, there is no one in the world youer than you. So no matter what the problem is that you solve, there might be other people that are out there that also solve the same problem, but there is a strategy that can be placed into your initiatives that will help you break through that wall with speed. So I want to share this with you. It is freebrandcall.com/Matt Labrie. That is going to be in the show notes of this episode, whether you're tuned in from audio or through YouTube, whatever it is, freebrandcall.com/Matt Labrie.
It's a feeling state.
Okay.
In my experience, it's a feeling state.
Mm-hmm.
It's what everything I just walked you through gets me into my heart, and it gets me deeply present and available.
Okay.
Available for life. And so the heart, according to Dr. Joe Dispenza and heart math and all the science out there, is the greatest electromagnetic force field in the human body. When I learned that, that blew my mind. It radiates like 4,000 times larger outward from our bodies than our brain does. It literally creates an electromagnetic force field of our body. The keyword is magnetic force field of energy, and quantum science says like attracts like. So if we're in our hearts, if we're grateful and we're present, and we're emitting a frequency of love, that's what we're going to bring right back in.
Yeah. Yeah.
That to me, that's joy.
Yeah. Yeah. Give me what else goes into joy. Gratitude,
Presence, availability, I was saying. Anything that I mean, to me, connection.
Okay.
Right? Like spending time with the people that you love, that amplifies your heart. Moving your body in a way that gets you, increases your vibration. Whatever it is that, I really actually think that it's personal. These are the things that make me joyful. Gratitude, presence, movement, time with the people I love the most, music. Obviously, like the things we can do, like travel and like going out to great dinners and beautiful things that we can adorn our lives with, whatever makes you joyful, truly joyful. You can answer that for yourself, not just you, but those that are listening. But what I love and appreciate about joy, because it happens no matter how you get there, is it gets us into a state of alignment. It gets us into a state of coherence with like our higher selves, because that's when I say joy is your birthright, we've heard that. Yeah. It's actually true. It's why we came on this planet, going back to the Palladian, diatribe I did. Like, that's one of their biggest messages. It's like, we came here to have a good time. We came here to have fun. And we lose the plot. We get so stressed out in the minutia of life. So when we practice joy in the simplest of ways, we come into alignment. And that's when life really starts to work for us. And we don't have to will it. We can co-create it.
Do you feel like life became fun for you after you took yourself out of survival? Like
Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like we need to get to like a certain level, and it sounds fucked up to say to an extent, but I don't think I would be having fun if I was broke. I don't know if I have the ability to do that.
Yes, and 100%. But
Mm-hmm.
I think the invitation I'd love to offer those listening is like, when you're broke, when you're rock bottom, going back to what we were saying at the beginning, that's your initiation. That's the hero's journey, man. Like, we all came here not to only experience bliss. Like,
Sure.
we live here on a dualistic planet where there's love and there's fear. There's survival and there's thriving. And I really believe we're living inside of, we have the option today. I think if you're awake enough, I should say, to choose which reality you want to play in. It's all a choice.
Yeah.
And so the expectation for someone who's broke, sick, heartbroken, failing, that's a really sacred place to be, actually.
Mm-hmm. But they're not fun places.
They're not fun places to be
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
But they're important places to be. Like, there's a like, this is going to seem like a random example, but just go with me for a second.
Go for it.
So when I was single, before I met my husband, this was a long time ago, I was dating, and I was like, on the apps doing the thing. And I remember meeting men who had clearly never had their heart broken before.
Ooh.
And then there were the men that had. And the men that had were sexy. They were available.
Yeah.
They had been through real life. They had their hearts broken open through the break. And I couldn't meet the men that had never risked that deeply, never had loved that hard in the same way that I could meet a man who had been through the real life tragedy of getting his heart broken, because
Yeah.
I had my heart broken. Right? So whether it's a financial failure, whether you've been through serious sickness, whether you've had trauma, which everyone has, those are the most fascinating people to me.
Yeah.
Like, that have seen the dark. You can't find the light in its full expression unless you've been to the dark.
Yeah. So
Dark's not supposed to be fun.
Yeah, I get that. It leads me to ask you this, right? It sounds weird to ask this, but do you feel like we should seek out the dark at times? Because the dark leads to evolution if we don't dwell in it.
I don't think it's necessarily something to seek, but it's not something to resist.
Okay.
To your earlier question.
Yeah.
No one wants to get their heart broken. No one wants to fail their business.
But you have to put yourself in the position to know that, like, if you get in a relationship, you should know it could end.
Right. And what we're talking about is living life to its fullest right now.
Right.
We're living a life where you risk, where you go for it.
And
where you
are we
play big.
risking, we're risking joy to an extent then.
Yeah. You can risk everything.
Yeah.
Following a dream, falling in love, moving to a different city, starting a podcast, putting yourself out there. There's a lot of risk that comes with any leap. But God, the greater the risk, the greater the reward, right?
Yeah. How do you risk again after being hurt?
I think that you have to heal and
So
learn
you
to
do
trust.
think- yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to learn to trust yourself. There's a lot of ways that can come through. I'll use my entrepreneurial journey for a second. Like,
Yeah.
I've started 3 businesses. The first one I scaled and I failed. That's the business that left me broke when I was 33. And I needed to pay off debt. I needed to find my direction again. I needed to be surrounded by some of the right, like, coaches and mentors. I needed to find my confidence again. I needed to find a purpose again. That took me about 2 years to recover from that failure. And then I got enough courage to do it again. And I built a very successful business that I ended up selling. Now, that business didn't leave me broke, but it left me broken. It burned me out.
Yeah.
I got super hooked on the dopamine high of hustle and success and growth over growth's sake for growth's sake. And I started a 3rd business after I sold that one, having the lessons, because I had to heal my body, my nervous system, my mental health, to then start this 3rd business that I'm running with new lessons, with new understanding. And I'm still on the journey of becoming so concrete and whole within myself that actually risking at this point, it's like, I've been there. I've almost died and I've come back to life. Like, what you got, you got, you know? And I think we can risk higher actually when we know the cost.
Yeah. Something's coming up for me. Like, as you share like moment to moment that you were expanding on there, right, in regards to business, how did you not rush to get to the next thing? And maybe you actually couldn't. Yeah. Right? Maybe like you just needed that time to be by yourself or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But like just looking at this whole conversation, like we run away from the quiet time or whatever it is, like how do you not rush to go from moment to moment or high to high, really?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great question. I mean, sometimes life just doesn't allow you to rush.
Yeah.
You know?
It sounds like that's what you were experiencing.
Yeah. Life doesn't allow you to rush. But again, it's really about trust and surrender. Mm-hmm. Back to what we were saying, that life has a greater plan for you. The more that you follow your joy,
yeah,
you know, and let go of the outcome. I was running my agency in 2023 when I met you.
Yeah.
And I had my buyer come to me in the summer, July. So I think we chatted in the winter, like January, February. It was the first half of the year.
It might have been.
I had just come back from Egypt, so it had to have been like winter time.
Yeah.
And I was very done with that business, but I didn't really know when the end was going to be.
I didn't get that vibe from you.
Yeah. Well, I was there for it, you know, but inside I knew that it wasn't going to be another 7 years.
Yeah.
You know, and I wanted to sell it. I was calling that in. And in the spring of that year, I decided to host a retreat for women in the woods because I was actually so uninspired by running my agency. But at this point, I had like 30 people working for me. I had a full-time COO that was like operating the business on a day-to-day basis. She was life-changing, life-saving, got me out of the weeds for the first time in 7 years where I had space to be like an actual visionary.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do I want to do for me? I hadn't really thought about that in so long. And I was like, well, if I were to really genuinely answer that, I would want to be with women. I would want to be in a community of women that I curate, that I bring out and like teach them business and leadership and branding and like mix it with spirituality. And like, I think I'm going to host a retreat like for me. And I ended up selling it out very quickly. And these 17 women showed up in Nashville in the woods. And it was like the greatest thing I'd ever done. It was the most joy I'd ever felt. And it was in that moment I got a kernel. I was like, you know, I don't really know what I'm going to do after Simply Be. I don't know how long Simply Be is going to stick around. What if I do sell the business, what that transaction will look like, if I have an earnout. Like I was thinking, but I was like, whatever the day comes, like on the horizon, I would do this. I would do this for fucking free. That's how much I love this.
That's a good thing.
Exactly. And then the universe helped me find the divine timing for my exit. And I launched what I'm doing now. And it's all about teaching women how to be badass leaders through the lens of spirituality in retreats and masterminds and programs. And it's been a beautiful 2 years. But I got that kernel like almost 2.5, 3 years ago.
How did you know to act on that? Right? I understand like what you're saying. Hey, I did this retreat and like I loved it. But what if that was just like a one-off, right? Like what tells Jess inside of her like, hey, this is the move you need to make?
So a couple things. One, it felt so good in my body that was like my North Star. It didn't necessarily need validation. However, at the end of those 5 days, I had about 17 women there. 9 of them came up to me at the end and was like, how can I hire you as my coach?
Whoa.
And I was still running my agency. I was like, well, I now have time because I have my integrator, COO, running my business. And she was super supportive of it. She's like, this is what you really want to do. It actually took, huge shout out to Shauna, it actually took someone else saying to me, you're not designed to be an agency owner for the rest of your life. You're an entrepreneur. You're meant to build many businesses and to be totally vulnerable. I had a lot of women, especially like inside of my businesses at the leadership level with me for a few years or maybe more, that wanted to keep me small, that had like an agenda with me, that wanted to ride the coattails and didn't want me to change. And I had one person in my life reflect back to me like, no, girl, you need to fly higher.
Yeah.
And how can I help you do that? And so Shauna changed my life. So it was a cocktail, if you will, of people believing in you, other people affirming that you've got something they want that you can serve them with, and doing what lights you up.
Yeah.
Like, follow a purpose.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. What I love the most, though, is that even though you were surrounded by people that wanted to keep you in a particular place, like, you broke free from that. Yeah,
I did. That was not easy.
Yeah. So what would you say to an individual that might be in a similar position?
Whew, it's hard. It's only hard because proximity, like you become dependent, enmeshed, like around the same people all the time.
It could also be like family.
It can be family,
that, right?
absolutely.
Like that's tough.
Absolutely. And I think a couple things. One, they say that you're the common denominator of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So take real stock of who those people are.
Yeah.
And are they lifting you up or are they dragging you down? How do they make you feel in your body when you're around them? Do they create ease and peace, or do they create tension and dis-ease? And I think for me, I had to make some tough decisions at times. Like, I had a handful of those situations in my career.
Yeah.
Been around a minute, man. I'm 44. I started my entrepreneurial career at 27, so I've had like multiple chapters where I had, unfortunately, they were always women who needed me to dim my light to make them feel safe. And some of those situations led to like business divorce that I called, that sent me into like months and months of litigious conversations and situation. Other women ejected themselves, as the universe, again, like timing came, and they did it before I was strong and brave enough to do it.
Sure.
Right. So they did me a favor, even though it sucked in the moment, it was dysregulating. I'm at this point now in my career where I've been through that so much that it actually doesn't even come into my field, because I'm so discerning of what that kind of energy feels like.
Yeah.
And you got to go through those lessons. I think it's part of the journey, especially being an entrepreneur. The hardest part of being an entrepreneur is people.
Right.
Yeah. Business partnerships, executive relations. It can get sticky, but I will say that, again, I'll speak for myself. Like, I wouldn't take any of it back. It absolutely gave me like such wings.
Yeah.
And wounds that like turned into wings. So
wounds that turned into wings.
Yeah.
That's like the third time you said something. I'm like, that was like so good.
That's how I see it in my mind.
I'm writing them all down. I love that. Hey, I want to do something with you. I've only done this one other time in like 400 episodes.
Okay.
I did it with a psychotherapist maybe like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, hey, this is fun. I didn't have a chance to do it in the episode we just recorded, but I want to do like a finish this sentence.
Okay. Oh God. Okay. I'm not very brief. I'm very verbose, but I'll do my best.
No, you don't have to be brief.
Okay.
You don't have to be brief.
Okay.
I might even have a second question to it.
Okay.
Authenticity to me means?
It means loving yourself out loud.
Okay. How do you love yourself out loud?
I think that people ask me all the time about authenticity.
Okay.
What it means.
Okay.
And, just being yourself unapologetically. I've said that before. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of bring this down back to like my quantum perspective of this planet, where we live in a dualistic reality of love or fear. That's it. That's why we came here, right?
Yeah.
Fear manifests itself in a multitude of ways. It's not just fear. Fear shows up as scarcity, survival, competition, jealousy, comparison. I could go on and on. Love expresses itself as kindness, compassion, empathy, abundance, community, oneness, peace, harmony. See, I could go on and on. I think that authenticity is one of those characteristics of love. It falls under that. And so to love yourself is the greatest reason we came here. It's the greatest act that we can take on. And when you love yourself so much, to love yourself out loud, to be love out loud, to lead from your truth, your heart, your gifts, your magic, your uniqueness, to love and to cherish those things about yourself enough to share them and live them out loud, that's what makes a person magnetic.
Absolutely.
So authenticity equals magnetism.
So would authenticity, right, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, wouldn't that also include integration of the moments of comparison and...
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that in order for us, I mean, there's polarity in everything. I think I think until we're about the age of 10, we stop loving ourselves. Like life, like it's, I have nephews, they're like 9 and 10, and I can like see the switch happening in my 10-year-old nephew compared to my 9-year-old nephew.
Why are they not loving themselves anymore?
Because they go to school and stuff's happening at school, and as they form their hormones and come into adolescence, and I'm not a parent expert or whatever, child psychologist, but I mean, I've seen it with all my friends. I don't have kids. It's like they become more cognizant of the reality around them. They become more self-conscious. They become more self-aware, which makes them more self-conscious. And then those like social hierarchies form inside a school. And it's really hard, I would imagine, as a parent to like avoid that and help and manage your kids back to loving themselves. I mean, you think about like a 4-year-old, like the innocence, the authenticity of like loving themselves, loving life, loving the moment, loving to play, loving to talk, loving to be, no freaking censors. And then at 10, it's like, I gotta be cool, you know?
I gotta be cool.
Yeah, I gotta be cool.
It's crazy because I as you're saying this, I'm literally thinking back. I was such a bully.
Were you?
In like 4th grade.
Aw.
But like that just goes to tell me like I was hurt at some point before 4th grade.
100%. 100%. So to answer your question, Matt, which is so beautiful, like to be fully integrated, to love yourself out loud, to authentically love yourself out loud, you have to have experienced the pain, the trauma, something, many things, to come home to that. Because we forget that. We get conditioned and bullied out of that. Societally conditioned, whether it's school, our parents. I feel so bad for kids today with social media. I mean, it's another layer. It's a whole other layer.
Yeah.
A whole other layer. And so you can tell somebody who's been through some real life shit and has decided, which we all have, to nonetheless love themselves out loud as an adult.
I love that. Next one. The hardest part of being yourself after years of pretending is. And maybe that's not applicable.
Say that one more time.
The hardest part of being yourself after years of pretending is.
Most likely letting old relationships die and dissolve.
Why?
Because not all relationships will dissolve, old relationships, but I think that it's probably one of the most painful parts of evolution, like outgrowing people. You know, it's really rare that we find people who can ride with all versions of us.
That's so true.
It's so true. Like, I'm sure everyone listening has like their ride or dies. And I don't really think you can truly tell the test of a ride or die, personally speaking, unless you've been friends or that person's been in your life for like at least 7 years.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that, because some of the people that I would have never imagined to be able to stay with me, and maybe I'm staying with them, I haven't fully thought that through, but some of the people that I would have never imagined are still in my life.
And on the flip side, I had people who I would never imagine would have left my life that did.
Mic drop right there.
Yeah.
Mic drop. Mic drop. That is wild. It is. Next one for you. When I finally took off the mask, I realized.
When I finally took off the mask, I realized that life was so much easier.
Why was it easier?
Because I had nothing to fucking prove. I had nothing to prove to anybody.
Yeah.
The mask was not for me. The mask was a performance, because it's what I thought I needed to be and reflect in order to be loved and safe and seen and validated and affirmed and all the things.
Yeah.
And when I took it off, God, was that easy.
When do you feel like you took off the mask?
I took off the mask when I sold my business.
So July 2023?
I would say January 2024.
Do you feel like so this is interesting because I would not have taken you as a person that was wearing a mask when we first had a conversation.
Yep.
Do you feel like we wear, like, are there layers
multiple
to the
masks?
mask?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think we go through many masks, that keep revealing more truth, more authenticity, more of ourselves.
There's levels to it.
There's levels to it. And when we met, I was in a state where I had, been running my agency for a while. It was on purpose. It was aligned for a while. I was proud of it. I was doing good work. I loved being a leader of a team. I'd created a great culture. I served beautiful clients. But there was something about that because I had evolved, right? Like 7 years, by the way. That's why I made that comment about people.
Yeah.
7 years is like the actual, like our cells, our like physical cells, hair follicles, mitochondria, like renews itself every 7 years. So you are literally physically a different person every 7 years. And I had sold my business 7 years to the date that I started. It was crazy.
So you were a brand new person.
So I was a brand new person. But when we met, I was in alignment. I shouldn't say I was in alignment. I was authentic. I was like definitely, I'd taken off enough masks at that point in my journey. But I still felt like because I was starting to outgrow that business, like I was a square peg in a round hole. And in case you didn't know, or sure you can obviously tell at this point, like my greatest relationship in my life is spirit.
Yeah.
Like I live for my connection to the divine. It is the truest source of my existence. And I had to kind of tame that. Like I had to play the role of like CEO working with like Fortune 50 companies who like had never heard of the flower essences and, moon ritual, like that's a big part of my world. So when I sold my business and I was able to really like what I call step out of the spiritual closet and not really leave anything off the table as part of what really mattered to me and what made me who I was and am, that's when I felt free. And that's when I felt ease. And that's when I felt light and nothing else to prove.
Yeah. Do you think, or if you were to predict the future per se, what do you feel like is the next mask you might take off? If there is one.
That's a really good question. I don't know. I mean, let me think about that for a second, Matt. That's a good question. It's like a little therapy right now.
A little therapy. We love it. Look, I even fit the part.
You really do. I would say, it's really, I'm going to get really, really honest with you. I've never shared this on a podcast. It's recent. I still have this big, deep sense of me that wants everyone to like me. And it's different than proving my worth. It's just wanting people to like me, full stop. And I overcompensate. I actually have not as good of boundaries as I like to say that I do.
Yeah.
And I mask it in what I call service. Get what I'm saying?
I do.
Being fully available, fully accessible. I saw a woman in my space years ago, like 10, 11 years ago, launch a big program. She got me hook, line, and sinker. I was like, I have to spend all this money because this woman's going to change my life. She was a brilliant marketer. I stepped into her program, and she was so unkind.
Ooh.
And she was so not the person she had represented herself to be along that whole customer journey. And I said to myself in that moment, I made a tiny little vow. It's like, God, if I ever have a business like that, if I ever have an audience like this, if I ever have a platform like her, I will never, ever, ever be like that. I will never forget where I came from and always honor the people that got me there.
Yeah.
And I believe, while that's my heart, I over-index on that at times. One, because I care. I really care. And I love people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm one of those human beings that innately loves people. You know, I think every person here on this planet has something magnificent to give. But sometimes, a lot of the times, it can be at the cost of myself. So I think that maybe it's not a mask, but maybe a...
I think that's also just like feminine nature, though.
Yeah,
to an
it
extent,
is. It
right?
is.
Like, just being a woman. From my experience, like, I know my mom bends over backwards for everyone.
Yes.
You know, my sister bends over backwards for everyone. Like, I'm just sure that's like...
We're innately givers.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's funny and it's ironic because I teach this to my women in my communities, like the power of receptivity.
Yeah.
And building the muscle of receiving, which is so uncomfortable for us. And I think I've gotten myself to maybe, like, if I was like, most women are like level 1 at receiving, I think I've gotten myself to like level 5.
Okay.
But there's like a level 20.
Sure.
I'm not kidding.
Sure.
That I think the feminine collective is stepping into or has a big opportunity to step into. And that's my work right now.
Yeah. I love that. Hey, thank you so much for sharing that, by the way. Like, you just being super vulnerable and whatnot. I appreciate it.
You create a really nice space for it.
I
so
definitely appreciate
you.
it. I will also say that, I mean, you wanting to be liked is, I feel like, so normal.
Yeah, I know.
It's so normal. And I mean, you're a very likable person. In case you needed to hear that today, like, you're a very likable person.
I receive that, man.
Receive it. Level 5, receive it. Level 20, receive it. One last finish the sentence.
Okay.
Then I want to know where we could point people in the direction to: books, websites, socials, wherever.
Great.
And then I have one last question for you after that.
Beautiful.
Okay. When I stopped performing for approval, I started to
have way more fucking fun.
Okay.
Way more fun.
Okay.
Enjoying my life in the simplest of ways.
Who do you perform for now? Or who do you do what you do for now?
I don't really think I perform for anybody.
Okay.
I do what I do for my family.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. I have a beautiful family.
Yeah.
I have an amazing husband. I have 2 dogs. They're my kids.
What kind of dogs?
I have a Boston Terrier.
Okay.
Her name is Zoe. She's 12 and a half. She's my soul dog.
That's beautiful. 12 and a half. God bless. That's awesome.
She's like a puppy. She's thriving. Every day is such a gift with her. Literally 12 and a half years with a dog is like it's a journey, man. It's a whole experience. Like, we are so gilded.
Yeah.
That's how it feels. I'm gilded to that dog. And then we just adopted a rescue boy. His name is Dakota. And he's part Staffy. He's mainly Staffy, which is like a pit bullish breed.
Yeah, I'm very familiar.
With a little bit of a French bulldog and American bulldog in him. And he's a true dove. We call him Dakota the Dove. He's an angel. And I just really, I do what I do in service of them.
Yeah.
And, my marriage after 13 years is the biggest blessing in my life.
I love that.
We've done a lot of work to get here. And, I really do feel I am here for the feminine rising on this planet in its power.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. Jess, where can we point people in the direction of? Where should we point them in the direction of?
You can find me on my website, jessicazweig.com. That's
Love it.
where my retreats, my school, all my programs. Instagram, I'm just at Jessica Zweig. I spend a lot of time there. I have a podcast too called The Spiritual Hustler.
There we go.
And I have written 2 books. And my first book was called Be, a no bullshit guide to increasing your self-worth and net worth by simply being yourself. And then I just wrote my second book, The Light Work, Reclaim Your Feminine Power, Live Your Cosmic Truth, and Illuminate the World.
Am I allowed to share what I heard you say downstairs?
What did I? Oh, yeah, you could share it.
Third on the way?
Yeah, I'm writing a third book.
Third book on the way. I won't share the date, but no, that's so awesome. We're going to make sure that all of that is in the show notes and the description of this. But last question for you. I want to make sure I get you out of here on time.
You're good.
You make it to whatever year you want.
Okay.
You raise as many dogs. You have like this beautiful relationship. You help as many women. You do all the things.
Yeah.
But we could only remember you for one piece of advice. Meaning, if someone listening to this or watching this right now sees this and they're like, all right, I'm never going to see Jess again, never going to engage with her again. God forbid, because you should.
Yeah.
But they could only remember you for one piece of advice. What do you want to be remembered for?
I'm going to hit you with something I haven't said yet.
Go for it.
Be gentle on yourself. Softness is strength.
Why is that?
Think about the strongest element in the world that's also the softest. What is that?
You're testing me. I wanted to say water, but
It's
I don't.
water.
It is water, see?
It's water. And so going back to the very beginning, full circle of our conversation, when we're gentle and soft on ourselves, we learn how to surrender and flow
I love that.
with
I love
life.
that.
And that's really the true game,
Being gentle.
being gentle.
I could definitely use more of that.
We
so
all could.
I'm going to take that as something for myself. But Jess, thank you so much for this. This was
you.
awesome.
You're awesome.
I
had
appreciate
so
it.
much fun. I needed this. This was such a
I'm glad.
light in my crazy move week this week. And
I am
I'm
so glad.
Really glad
so
to see
glad.
you.
But hey, we're going to make sure that all of the good stuff is in the show notes in the description. But thank you so much.
You're fantastic. Thank you.